Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gaming Daddy channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today we're going to be looking at The Division. We're going to be checking it out from the context of Ubisoft's current approach and what I'm basically sensing on the landscape. Now, when it comes to what's coming for The Division, we already know, even before they announced the year 3, many of us were already discussing the possibility and how it was even going to happen. And even in the face of the community saying, "Oh, this is not going to be a reality" and all that, we still understood the landscape of the game, and behold, we're getting year 3 content and it's coming down the road. Yes, some people may or may not, be fans of when it's coming, but there are a lot of different things at play with all of that. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and just basically discuss this issue. And before I also go ahead and do this, it's quite exciting to kind of be back on the content creator, circuit. I've been really, quiet for a while, but that's because I've been working on a really fun project that's making a little bit of headway. It's like, it's literally like, crawling in baby steps, but I'm enjoying the process nonetheless. And this also gives me a feel of when I first started YouTube. For those of you who don't know, I started making Division content in October of 2016. This is when the Division 1 was at its, I would say, driest point. That's when I actually launched a YouTube channel. So not a lot of people were watching. It was a really interesting time to basically start off the conversation for the Division game with the hardcore community. That is the people who are dedicated and playing. And so I believe that this video is basically going to be reaching out to that community as well. So many may have walked away, many may have gone and, disbanded, but there's still some of you that are hanging around. And these conversations, to me, are some of the more important conversations because they're going to basically come out to become what we're going to be dealing with when it comes to this game in perhaps the next few months. Next few months, or maybe in the next few, I would say, quarters or seasons, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, right now it seems like the Division, there's a lot of stuff going around. I've been seeing videos from other content creators talking about, job postings, potential playtesting rumors. I saw a headline. I didn't watch the video. Forgive me, Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear. I usually like watching your videos, but I saw this title of your video and I couldn't get to watch it. But you said something about potential rumors on playtesting for year 3 content. Rogue Gold, I did see your video on the job posting that, Bondizo shared. I watched that, and I've been watching a lot of the other videos, but I've just not commented because I believe that earlier on we had done a lot of gleaning on how it was even going to be possible to bring Division content, even in the face of all what had been going on, and even in the face of the very loud contention that there was not going to be anything left for the Division. But those of us who kind of continue to speculate that the Division was worth keeping as a franchise, we were proven correct. There is a lot. But this whole year, we have to kind of take into account what Ubisoft seems to be doing when it comes to their video game production. There's so much going on, and at the same time, there seems to be nothing going on. But if you kind of think about it, Ubisoft's approach is a very foot on the gas pedal approach. They're constantly pumping out these sequels of their established titles. There's usually a Far Cry game every so many years. There's usually a, some Tom Clancy game every so many years, and I'm talking brand new. And there's usually an Assassin's Creed game every so many years. And then in the middle of that, they'll bring out they'll launch some new titles that haven't necessarily been seen, and then potentially try to establish them as they're going on. And if you notice this, you're going to see that, Watch Dogs has basically reached its 3rd title, which it's not necessarily one of the good old boys, but is now starting to approach one of those, I would say we're starting to reach the status of a recognized title within their studio. If you were to maybe say compared to Assassin's Creed, maybe not, but now Watch Dogs is actually doing a free trial. It's really interesting. They're trying to bring people into that ecosystem for the multiplayer so people can interact with the world, which is actually really cool. I think about Immortals Phoenix Rising. This is a new title that was actually shoved in, that same release window with Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed. And then there are new DLCs also coming out. Immortals got a new DLC, and I think Assassin's Creed, a new, I would say, expansion or new story was announced. Something new was announced with Valhalla. I haven't paid close attention to all of that. But it seems to me that Ubisoft is not necessarily stepping on the gas pedal in regard to new titles this season. Instead, I think they've actually, decided that they're just going to take their foot off and drive with the brakes and slow down a little bit while they dig deep and enjoy, or I would say explore more into what they already have established. And I think this goes in line with a lot of what we're seeing with the Division and some of the talk of new content coming down the road, hirings going on, and a potential, year 3 and even year 4 continuation of the current game. The current game for the Division right now, in my opinion, is actually basically very strong. It provides a very solid aspect to what an RPG looter shooter is. Now, if you've played over 1,000 hours and you tell me, but the game, you've played 1,000 hours. I mean, naturally, after 1,000 hours, it's hard to see this framework as I'm describing it. But some people still, say that that's the case for them. And I get it, but at the end of the day, you have to still recognize that you have burned a significant number of hours on a game like this, and to expect that a game will perpetually continue to entertain you is a very unrealistic expectation. I mean, look at just what the lockdowns have done in gaming so far. In fact, I remember one of our community members, XC's the Stars, was trying to tell me that, hey, a lot more games are going to get delayed. And I kept telling him, well, I'm trying to be optimistic. And he said, no, man, you need to, put that optimism into realistic mode and start to see what happens. And behold, like he called it, one of my most anticipated games for this year, Gotham Knights, a game that I've been waiting for at least 7 years, got another delay to 2022. And to me, that was the breaking point. But then I had to kind of sit down and evaluate who are making the games that are getting the delays and where were they located during the time of the lockdowns. And it became really obvious that if you kind of look at the location of a lot of these studios and look at their pipelines, then it starts to come together. Like in the case of Gotham Knights, as I just said, Gotham Knights is being developed in a studio that's actually located in Montreal, which is in Canada. They had lockdown measures that seemed to have at least put a stopgap in their workflow. So even by August, when they were announcing the game, I have a feeling that there was a little bit of suspicion there, in my mind anyways, that they were most likely behind on development from around March all the way through the Warner Brothers events where they announced their games. If you look at even Far Cry is also being made. I think, I can't remember if it's another Canadian-based Ubisoft studio, but if nothing else, you have to look at a game like even The Division, which is also being made in in a studio based in Europe, which the European nations also had, other measures in the way that they actually had, advised employers to take care of their employees. So in game development, when you have those kinds of stopgaps, even if you take a whole 3 weeks off development, and you're not coming back anytime soon, and everybody's trying to work from home, it really does create a lot of challenges that goes with it. And even within the working from home environment, for those of you who don't remember, the development team was actually able to drop some event or something. I can't remember what it was. I made a video to that effect, even congratulating them. And then I didn't even know much about game development like I do now. If I had known, I would have probably maybe put out a collective efforts to send them a bunch of gift packs for even making the effort. Now, call me, whatever it is you want to call me, but having burned at least right now a few thousand hours learning and tinkering with the game engine, I think it's quite, interesting to come up with these statements and sound outlandish, but it's very interesting that that perspective is being built right now in my mind because of the experience and trying to see if I can put myself in the shoes of developers. But nonetheless, once all of these stuff starts to come back in place, I am very certain that we're going to be seeing a good fleshing out of what the Division's future holds. Right now, as Ubisoft usually does, they don't announce things because for some reason it's just their own policy. They don't talk too much about things that are not yet in their minds certain because, they don't necessarily know what they happen. I don't know why the policy is like that, but I think it's a policy that seems to be working because, after all the announcements of all the games from last year, look how many of them are still going to make it out this year, or how many of them at least got a few delays. Even Outriders, I suspect, was more than likely in the final stages, and they just needed that extra 40 days or however many days, from February all the way through April. And did I say 40 days? More like 60 days or so. But with the demo, I was able to keep the audience in a place where, the audience was happy enough with them to say, we'll give you guys that, that time that you need, but we're looking forward to this game. You know, and that's basically what the audience is actually thinking right now. But when it comes to the Division content, this is a fun time to make Division content, to talk about the game. This, like I usually say, gives me a lot of memories of when I first started the Division, on YouTube. And this is actually a really cool time to continue to look into what the game holds for the future. There will be a huge break for many of us. Many of us are going to go play video games. Some of us are going to make video games. Some of us are going to do all kinds of crazy stuff in the interim, but we know that we have our little pinky on this game. And if for any reason the developers decide to drop something, now, or even talk about the game in the future, we'll be here to listen, because, we want to see what this is all about. The Division still has its uniqueness within the gaming industry, and I'm going to talk about that in the next video. So stay tuned. We'll be having more Division discussions, hopefully more often, and I don't disappear too much into game dev world, and we can keep having these conversations. But it's really cool, man. It's really exciting to see the development, and to see that we predicted a lot of them months back, and we're basically on the money. So good stuff right there. Talk to you guys in another video. Comment below. Peace.